Yeah, today I would like to provide you an overview of mobile ID solutions, concepts, games. Thank you. First of all, I would like to start with a typical PKI scenario in an enterprise world where you have smart cards with PKI credentials in order to log into the enterprise environment. It's a quite usual ID1 card like this one here. And you can use it on the PC with a middleware and smart card reader. You can log on the PC. You can perform VPN authentication, digital signatures, email encryption. You can even use the card for physical access control by tapping the card on doors. It's a common scheme used in a lot of enterprise environments. And the question is basically, with the mobile devices, you have more and more mobile devices also in enterprises, which shall be used for the employees in order to work efficiently, remotely, and in the enterprise environment. And basically the question is how you can integrate this with a PKI environment where you use ID1 smart cards. There are different solutions available. Basically, you could use a smart card reader, kind of sleeve for the mobile device. And you can insert the ID1 card in the sleeve. There's a smart card reader. So some vendors of such kind of sleeves. The problem with this sleeve solution is the sleeves are always designed for specific mobile devices, and they are very expensive. On the one hand side, you have solutions based on USB readers, smart card readers, where you have to plug a smart card reader on the USB port in order to use the ID card. It's a bit cumbersome, but it works basically. A new approach is using the NFC contactless interface, and if you have a PKI card with a contactless interface, you can basically tap the card on the mobile device in a reader mode, NFC reader mode. You can perform signatures on this card via the contactless interface. It works basically. However, there are some issues with mobile devices and the NFC chips. They are not really designed in a way where you can perform very good API communication with ID cards. And while the industry of mobile device solutions, security solutions try to solve this by implementing workarounds, but basically some solutions are used in the field. It's another option. And what I would like to talk about is another approach. It's more based on the SIG elements available on the mobile device. Basically, you have different kind of SIG elements in a mobile device. Could be the SIM card, the USSC, the SIG micro SD card, or embedded SIG element. And basically, the SIG element has also a smart card chip, like an ID1 card, and a PKI applet, which is installed on a usual ID1 card, can be also installed in a SIG element. You have the same functionality, the same level of security. You have the required APIs on the devices. Actually, for API communication as a mobile app, you can transfer APIs with the SIG element API. And we have standardized in the similar lines the OpenMobile API. 2008, today, all the Android NFC handsets support the Symlines OpenMobile API. Windows Phone has introduced the SIG element API, and well, more and more device vendors are supporting SIG element APIs. BlackBerry is another example. They support SIG element APIs for many years, and with this API, you can easily perform PKI stuff based on PKI credentials on the SIG element. All what you need is a kind of middleware. It's a kind of convenient layer in order to use the credentials on the SIG element. The mobile applications can use a middleware with nice APIs in order to perform encryption, signatures, and so on the SIG element. And more and more solutions are based on this approach with the Zeek elements. Well, and here I have a kind of vision. Basically, I introduce the PKI card scenario in an enterprise environment. Basically, you could use different kind of credentials, and credentials which are used in different cards today, bank cards, credit cards, government cards like national ID cards, driver's license, health cards. And there are plenty of opportunities to have this on the mobile device. You can use the different credentials like health card, driver's license on the mobile device for online authentication, driver's license check, remotely, age verification based on a national ID card remotely with the mobile device. One idea is to have a kind of wallet application in order to manage different credentials on the mobile device. And what we're trying to do at J&D currently is to implement solutions based on identity cards within wallet. This is actually a similar scheme like the mobile payment scheme, where you have different credit cards which can be chosen for payment transactions. What we're trying to do is to figure out how we can apply the same scheme for identity cards. And in order to choose a certain identity card for online authentication, and the user can choose a driver's license for renting a car at a car rental service portal, just one example. And we can easily combine this with other use cases like payment, strong authentication with payment, for example, with a kind of wallet application on the client. And basically, you have also the opportunity to manage the credentials on the different Zeek elements. For example, with the UISSA, you have an OTA connection. An MNO has an end-to-end secure channel from the backend to the Zeek elements, the UISSA, and with this secret channel, you can manage the credentials on the UISSA. And if you talk about identities, mobile identities on the UISSA, you can activate, deactivate credentials. You can download credentials with this secret channel on different end devices, basically mobile phones, tablets, PCs. You can have a connection from your phone to the PC with Bluetooth, as an example, or NFC, in order to use the credentials on the UISSA on the phone for PC applications and mobile applications. And if we have a look at the backend side, what you have to do is to integrate the credential management system from an enterprise or an agency to the TSM infrastructure of the MNO. If you have this link, you can download the credentials with the MNO infrastructure and the OTA service. Well, if we go back to the picture of the PKI environment in enterprises, if you have a mobile ID on your UISSA or Zeek element, you can use it with your mobile apps for different use cases. Physical access control, logical access control, VPN connections, secure email, and so on. And you can use the credentials as well with the PC. If you have a Bluetooth connection, you can use the same credentials on your UISSA on the PC side. So actually, there's no need for an ID card in this scenario. Now I would like to show you some mobile ID solutions, what we have implemented at J&D in the last years and deployed at different customers. This is a secure authentication solution. It's a very high-level picture. You see you have different mobile devices and PCs and credentials on the UISSA, and you can connect to a service provider, an online shop, whatever, and you are forwarded to an authentication server. The authentication server sends a request to the mobile device in a second channel. Potentially it's the OTA channel, end-to-end secured, from the TSM backend of the MNO to the UISSA, and you send back a signature. It could be a symmetric signature or PKI-based signature. It could be also a one-time password. Basically, you are logged in at the service provider side if the authentication request was responded successfully. Here, another solution. It's a Seeker cloud storage solution. You have different Seeker file managers as application on the end devices, and it's like a normal file manager, but the specific feature of this Seeker file manager is the file manager enciphers all the files with the credentials on the SIM card before the data are uploaded on the cloud. And you can use any kind of cloud, Dropbox, Google Drive, whatever. The files are always encrypted on the cloud. It's a kind of sealed cloud, and if you download files from the cloud, the files are decoded and displayed as usual. So the user does not see actually the encryption and decryption, and you have a normal file browser, I would say, on the different devices, and everything works internally in the Seeker file manager. And well, with the backend, you can activate and deactivate the keys on the UICC. For example, an MNO providing the service can activate a key for this application, and the customer can order this in a subscription model, for example. And we have presented this last year at the Chip2Cloud, this solution in all the details. Here I have another solution, a Seeker Voice solution. It's based on VoIP and a SIP server. The mobile devices can register on a SIP server, and if one device makes a phone call to another device, there is a mutual authentication amongst them, and basically they perform a mutual authentication, and they use the SIM card credentials based on an RSA signature, and during this mutual authentication they derive a session key, and with the session key the communication is enciphered. Well, the service can be activated, deactivated via OTA if an MNO is offering this as a service. The customer can order this, and the MNO is activating the service via OTA. Now I would like to provide you an overview about the different Seeker element types and the specific characteristics in terms of mobile ID. Well, with the UICC, you have NFC support. NFC allows much more use cases like physical access control. You can tap your phone on the door, and it works like a usual contactless PKI card. You have APDU access on Android and BlackBerry out of the box. This means Android NFC devices have an open mobile API implemented. BlackBerry offers secret APIs for many years, so you can perform API communication out of the box with the devices. Certification, CC. Certification is possible with UICC up to AL4+, and management is possible with OTA channels, which are end-to-end secured. For the embedded Seeker elements, the NFC can also be used. For example, for physical access control, you have APDU access out of the box on Android, BlackBerry. Certification, FIPS is supported, CC can be performed. Management is typically done by TCP/IP connections and TLS security. The microSD card, well, NFC is rarely supported, so the NFC use cases can usually not be implemented. However, microSD card has a certain benefit because, well, you have no dependencies to MNOs, for example. You can plug in the microSD card and it works. APDU access, well, Android does not provide driver per default for APDU access. MicroSD cards or Seeker microSD card vendors typically have drivers which can be installed as an APK in order to perform an APDU communication with the microSD card. BlackBerry provides a driver out of the box, so this is not an issue. They have ASSD implemented in the kernel and provide APIs for the communication in the US. Certification is possible with FIPS CC in higher levels, and management is also possible with TCP/IP and TLS security. these are the basic characteristics in terms of mobile ID solutions of the different SIG elements. Now I would like to talk about a new technology, the derived credential technology. It is a concept where you use a physical card and a SIG element in the solution. You have an existing ID card, national ID card or PKI card, and now you would like to derive a second credential from this card in order to use it on the phone, and you store this on a SIG element. Basically, you have two approaches. An approach which can be performed locally. This means you derive a credential locally with your phone. The NFC interface could be used with a contactless card. You tap on the card and you derive a credential from this card and store it on the SIG element. Another approach is server-based. This means you authenticate with your card towards the server, and the server generates a derived credential to this ID card and downloads this on the SIG element. Basically, you have two standards. Sorry, do you have any questions so far? Any comments? Just raise your hand if there are some questions. Concerning the remote provisioning concept, well, you simply download the credentials on the SIG element, and it works in the same way. You have two concepts today standardized. It is 14890 European signature card standard. They have published now a new specification, 14890, with a privacy-based chip authentication protocol, PCA protocol, which can be used for derived credentials. And this is a concept which is more based on local provisioning of derived credentials. And there's another specification, NIST SP 800-157. This is standard specifically for PIV cards in the US. And this is an approach which is more server-based. This means you authenticate with your card, with the existing PIV card, as an agency employee towards the server, and the server performs a provisioning remotely to the mobile device, and you have a derived credential on your SIG element. We presented more details 2 years ago at the cloud. Virtual mobile cards was a presentation here. It was a presentation specifically to the PCA protocol, privacy-based chip authentication protocol. Derived credentials is always based on user authentication. This means if you would like to derive a credential from an existing ID card, the user has to perform an authentication. This means the user has to be authenticated, and basically this could be done by PIN verification or biometrics, fingerprint, for example. And the question is how we can perform this in a secure way. If you consider the architecture of derived credentials, you have a weak link. This is the operating system. If you perform a verified PIN operation in an app, potentially this could be shifted in a trusted environment. We have introduced the TEE for some years in global platform as a standard. And if you have a TEE in a mobile device, we have last year published the Trusted User Interface API for the TEE. You could perform a verified PIN operation in the TEE. Last year, we have also published a SIG element API for the TEE in global platform, and with this, you can download the credentials to the SIG element. So you can provide more security with the TEE in terms of user verification if you talk about derived credentials. The same applies for the usage of credentials. If you use credentials from a SIG element, for example, you would like to perform a signature for client-server authentication, you could perform the verified PIN operation with the TEE in order to provide here more security for the PIN entry and user interface. It's a kind of vision because the TEE technology, it's an emerging technology, and more devices exist with the TEE technology. And I talked here about new APIs, so it is up to the device vendors to provide here the specific APIs to make it happen here with the TEE. Basically, you have a lot of application fields if you talk about mobile ID solutions, and you can perform strong authentication on agency and enterprise networks as shown before. You can perform authentication towards online shops with age verification if you have a kind of national ID card or passport as mobile ID. Online agency applications which require ID verification might be a possible use case. Online car rental services where you need a driver's license check. Online hotel check-in where you have to check the passport. A lot of use cases exist for the mobile ID technology. Well, this is the conclusion of this presentation. Mobile ID provides a lot of benefits for the market and a lot of opportunities. Actually, first mobile ID solutions exist already in the field. And well, Swisscom, for example, has announced a mobile ID solution in January this year. Vodafone Germany has announced a mobile ID solution in April this year. And more solutions are emerging in the field worldwide. Well, mobile ID solutions today are more focused on enterprise use cases. But basically, you see, it could be also applied for government use cases and online shops and general online services. Well, the derived credential technology is new technology, and I have indicated two standards for specific cards, but basically you could apply this concept for different kind of cards. What we have to do here is actually to define the protocols and schemes for the different cards to make it happen. And it's not only about the protocols, it's also about security schemes. You need to define the security level and how we can use the derived credential in which context. It has to be defined for each card application. And this is to be done to make it happen. Well, and new technologies like the TEE can be used to provide more security, for example, for the PIN verification, in order to use the credentials on the different SIG elements. Yeah, so far it was my presentation.
Many thanks.
Thank you so much.
It's a very broad view and give, I think, a good overview on all the different possibilities. Are any questions or statements on this presentation? Yes, please.
You make quite a high.
Can you speak loud? Yeah.
You make quite a high degree of tie-in between my electronic ID and the mobile. How are you factoring in the fact that those two things are actually usually held by me quite close together and are most likely to be stolen together? Have you factored in that into your
Yeah, it's a good point. Actually, the derived credential technology is a technology where you have, as a conceptual view, this second credential only for a certain time limit. For example, 2 days in order to use my ID, which is stored on my ID card, now also on the mobile phone, and I can use it 2 days. And after this, the credentials are deleted via OTA, or you have a counter, whatever, on the card. So it's actually a credential for a certain time space, and it is not an ID what I have on my ID card for a long time period. It's actually, mobile ID is more a solution where you have management of IDs and to activate and deactivate IDs based on time, short time scale. And well, with the background that if a device is stolen, you can delete the ID and you can nothing do anymore with the ID on the phone. And the physical ID card is still your original identity store, which you have in your pocket. And actually, the mobile ID is a second source of credential which is temporarily storing an ID for providing more convenience for the user, and providing the opportunity to use a mobile phone in an enterprise environment or in an agency environment or in public space, for example.
Okay, I think with this we should close this because we must move on for the next speech. I hope, Marta, that in your last speech today, from GSMA point of view, you can give a first rough worldwide view. How many countries have real existing mobile EID services in place? Maybe more than 30 countries, maybe more than 50 countries, I don't know. But this could be helpful if we... Yeah. Ah, okay. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so we go to global platform. It's I think technology view on mobile services and privacy aspects. And yeah, please.
Yeah, so you have been seen on the previous presentation a lot of usage of the global platform technology, because globally today in your onset, if you have a secure element, it's a global platform secure element. And we are working a lot right now to standardize the TEE, which will be a way to deploy services. So I would like to focus more about the privacy, because we are talking about a lot about security. There is big fight about security. I just want to highlight a little the privacy requirement. If you are a government, how you want to manage that, and also to try to say that what may be the role of the platform to manage privacy, which is something new. So before starting about that, there is a lot of discussion about privacy, and it's true that we may have different view of the privacy, but I just want to come back to some facts. And in fact, most of the countries in the world are part of the UNO, and they have signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and inside they are talking about privacy. So privacy is not something European or something US or something whatever. It's something that we share as people in a generic concept. The issue comes more when you want to implement that, and I'm just making a little cut and paste here about the European Parliament that has voted in March a new data protection regulation. It took us 9 years in Europe, in which we consider that we are taking care a lot of our privacy, to be able to agree on a new data protection regulation that, of course, talk about privacy. So, in one hand, everybody wants privacy, but when you go in details, it's more complex. Also, privacy, we talked on the past days about the new iPhone 6 with an embedded secure element, Apple Play, and extra. Very few people detect the new positioning of Apple in terms of privacy. So Tim Cook make plenty of presentation right now talking about privacy. And they want to show that Apple is very different from the other big actor in the US, without naming Google, to say that everything regarding to the new toolkit, so there is a Health toolkit right now in the iOS 8, and there is a Home toolkit to manage your garage door and extra. All this new toolkit that is included inside iOS 8 embed plenty of privacy information, privacy rules. As an example, all the data are encrypted by the phone. Okay, so they can store whatever information in the cloud. Apple will not be able to read any of your personal information. And Apple position themselves today as a very privacy provider, and the value of iOS 8 and of course the iPhone 6 is that it's very privacy. I just want to highlight one word on the last Tim Cook presentation that I don't know Tim Cook, so I'm just making a cut and paste. But he was talking about health, because here again, there is a big differences between privacy at the wall and health information. And in US, health information are very, very important, same as the kids' information. The other information, you can lose the money, all the last transaction you have done. In US, it's not very important, but health and kids are very important. In parallel, of course, there is plenty of fight during the last discussion of the European data protection discussion, and Google makes some comments on the EU data protection. And one of the positioning of Google is to say that if you are not allow me to take private information, my service will be not on the best quality because I don't know the end user. So I'm not here to steal the information. I'm here to use the information to provide better services. So just two different views on two big actors that are a lot of impact in terms of data privacy. So this is just to try to update a little the environment that Global Platform has worked in the last few years, that when you talk about privacy, it's not easy to have something very clear to say that you need to implement like this, all the government will do like that, you need to have the keys and extra. Privacy, it's a world which is today far from being clear. So we have started on this environment to try to say that what the platform may provide, because we think, and the presentation of Alexander showed that we think that you need to have security, you need to have multiple applications, because you need to share the investment in terms of security, whatever it's a smartphone with a TE, whatever it's a secure element. We think that we need to share the security, so the platform will have different applications, and we know, and again, the two cut and paste that I made to start my presentation show that you have very various vision of privacy, what to protect and extra. So we have starting to write some requirements to say that, okay, let's try to analyze what technical capabilities of privacy. So we read all the documents. There is plenty of documents about privacy. We find a certain list of information, non-traceability, anonymity, things like that. We try to work on that. We try to see that what will be the role of the card to not track and not help because you have a card. So most of the cards today are very good to give you a serial number. So as an example, serial number, it's a way to track the people. So we need to work in our environment to, as a platform, does not give more information in terms of that. So we have tried to work on technical requirements, and we published 1 year ago a first document to say that we think that if we want to go on this market, the platform role needs to have additional information, additional features to be able to manage privacy technology. So this was the first effort to work on requirements. It took us a lot of time because, again, if you take an approach which is very, very privacy by the extreme, most of the other markets say that, no, I need to share information. I need to be able to do this. So it took us some time to write the requirement. And after we switched to, so this document is public. Don't hesitate to go to the Global Platform website to read it. I think there is plenty of good information, good analysis, and it's very difficult to implement it, all these requirements. So we are fully aware of putting all in one document, make the requirements and the implementation very difficult. So we try to switch on how to implement that. And here also, there is plenty of battles, okay? So I have tried here to select 3 main areas of technology. One is privacy enhanced technology. So they say that, okay, we will add some stuff to make it more privacy, to simplify it. One action which is privacy by design, which say that if at the beginning you don't have a strong privacy approach, it's very difficult to fix that. And the third one, which is privacy impact assessment. So very quickly, there is plenty of activities right now around privacy enhancing technology, such as the do not track. So W3C worked 2 years ago, and they say that privacy is do not track. Okay, so do not track is what? Now you have on your browser the possibility to say that I want to be tracked or I don't want to be tracked. Okay, and if you click this little button, I don't know if you know where is it in Firefox, but there is a little tick box. If you click, then everybody storing cookies on your computer asks you, do you want to store the cookie? Okay, so this is the big effort of the W3C on privacy, is to say that you need to have the tick box, and now each time you have a cookie, you need to ask the end user. And the end user, there is no yes, no, there is accept. So globally, they say that it's privacy because the end user accepts to store cookies that are giving back plenty of information around his information or whatever. It's a unique ID to be able to follow that. So you accept to be tracked. This is more or less, to make it very simple, the do not track effort. But there is plenty of activities right now about pseudonymization of data. And there is plenty of studies to show that it's not possible to create real anonymous data. It's not possible. As soon as you have some information, it's very easy to combine information, and it's not possible to generate pseudonymy data. So in global platform, we say that we don't need to, as a platform, to try to fix the issue. It's better to work on the privacy by design. And I will come back a little, but we spend some time about either a way to fix the potential privacy issues. So we focus in global platform about privacy by design because we consider that it's the best solution. And also we will combine with privacy impact assessment, and maybe I will come back to that too. So there is plenty of way to talk about privacy by design. I strongly encourage you to go to one of the sources of this information, which is privacybydesign.ca. And the objective is to define different actions to be sure that your system is privacy, again, at the core. Okay? So this is one of the requirements that we took in Altund to create our new technology. First of all, it's proactive. So again, you don't need to generate bad information and try to hide the information. It's better to not generate information. Privacy, it's a default design. It's not that I'm clicking on the do not track and then after I need to accept and there is another way. First of all, I'm trying to not leak any information, and I'm trying to do that as much as possible. Full functionality, again, it's not that privacy needs to remove security or security needs to remove privacy. You need to manage both. You need to have a very secure system and privacy system, and it's possible. Of course, the end-to-end security, because if you have something which is a vault, very secure, but inside you have something which is just given by SMS information, you will have no privacy as information. Visibility, transparency, this is a generic approach, and to try to say that it's not possible to trust someone to say that I'm private. You need to open the books and to see how much this is private and if it's really private. And of course, to have a strong view of the end user, because privacy in most of the cases is your data, and you need to allow the end user to control how much the data are shared and to share to who and how much the data are shared. So the second technology that we think is very important, it's the PIA, so Privacy Impact Assessment. Why we think it's important? Because again, we are in a multiple environment. So global platform, if you have a phone today, either the phone is very privacy enhanced or privacy by design created. But each time you are using this part, you need to take this in your, as a service provider, in your environment. It's not possible to say that the platform is privacy by design created, so my service will be privacy. It's not possible. You need to make an analysis. Because as an example, what you may consider as a privacy leak is not the same issue for other people. So you need to understand what you want to create to be sure that the platform provides you a certain level of privacy, but also the back office, the way that you are working. And then based on this privacy and hence privacy impact assessment of your service, then you need to see how much the platform provide you good tools and how much the back office provide you good tools. So it's not possible, at least for the GP perspective, to say that in the long range, because the smart card, because the element, because the smartphone will be privacy by design, the service by itself will be privacy by design. I will just give you a little point. If we close completely the secure environment, we are losing plenty of use cases, such as I install an application inside the smartphone, which is looking, is there a secure element, yes, no? So is there a secure element, yes, no? Here you need to find someone that is able to authenticate the secure element, etc. So you need to have some traceability elements to allow some use cases. So when you do the privacy impact assessment, you need to analyze how many static data I need to deploy my service. Is it compatible or not to other? Yes, no. Then based on that, what are the information I need to leak, because I need to use information and I need to share information. And slowly by slowly, here you will be able to have a clear vision. So privacy impact assessment is very, very important for the GP perspective. I put here, and I don't want to enter, but maybe it's a new topic, the privacy impact assessment. I just want to show here a list of initiatives. Privacy assessment is strongly used by governments. In US, they are using privacy assessment. Australia, I made a lot of privacy enhancement. In France, there is some exercise of privacy impact assessment, how the government are managing citizen data, and what is the impact in terms of managing the privacy. Even Google is using privacy impact assessment to show to the European Commission that what they are doing is not so bad, right? So it's very a tool which is not well deployed yet, but really used by government and needs to be used now by service provider to know how much they have an impact in terms of the privacy, or what kind of risk they are taking to store private data. So this is a little the requirement, selecting privacy by design, combining the privacy by design of the platform to strongly motivate service provider to analyze the privacy impact assessment. So right now, we are working to implement and to make a platform more secure. So I'm talking about secure element right now, because here we have a strong requirement today, and certainly in the future we will work on the TEE. But I'm talking today more about the secure element. So we have everything we have so far. A secure platform that it's able to manage different applications coming from different actors, so different way to authenticate on the card, to promote application, to promote keys. We want to add enforcement of the privacy. So it means that certainly there will be one default level of the privacy inside the secure element, because of course all the other applications will be blocked by a certain minimum requirement, right? So there will be certainly one specific privacy, I will say, level that will be defined and that can be downloaded. So we want the card to be usable in this privacy environment, second environment, third environment. So the privacy enforcement will be that. We want something very light, so we will not cover all the requirements that we have published. It's a lightweight solution. Because again, if you read the requirement, you will see that it's quite difficult to answer to all the requirements. And we are working to put the end user at the core of the technology. Okay, so we need to facilitate or to easy the end user control. Whatever it's asking the end user, do you want yes or no to open your card? Do you want yes or no to leak some of your information, because this application is requesting to leak some information. So the user concern is really at the core of the technology we want to develop. And of course, this privacy ecosystem, we need to train the service provider to do the privacy impact assessment. We need to train the laboratories that are making the security tests, because this is part again of the 10 privacy by design approach. Right. So if I take back the 7 principles, Proactive, not reactive. The card will not say anymore anything until we reach a certain level of privacy. So it's a new way of the behavior of the card. The card will be mute, okay, until someone in the card say that it's okay, I can start to discuss. So we will not be able anymore to select something on the card and to start to have any information on the card. Privacy embedded into the design, so means that the application are able to ask the card, inside the card, what is the level of the privacy, are you reaching this level of privacy or this level of privacy, and they be able to have different behavior depending of the privacy level of the environment of the card. As an example, the same card in an iPhone 6 or the same card in another device may have different environments, so the application needs to be able to know which environment I'm performing, and then I may apply different rules in terms of management. So it's additional feature. We are not removing some current feature in terms of security to provide a privacy feature. End-to-end security is the key element of the GP technology. You cannot do anything on the secure element or in the TEE if you don't have a secure channel or secure communication between the endpoint on the field and the secure element. We have today a process that says that it's not possible to show security without third-party certification, and I think it's not possible to show a good level of privacy if you don't have a third-party certification. So even if I'm strongly happy to see that Tim Cook say that we are strongly promoting privacy, I think we need now to verify that this is really in place, right? And this is part of the way that the global platform is managing either the compliance and the security is to go to third party that have a view, neutral view on the level of compliance, security, and then tomorrow privacy. And for the end user, again, in the privacy framework, we have a lot of features regarding the end user accepting part, but we have also the consumer-centric model, which is management of the secure element fully under the responsibility of the end user, and only the end user will be able to load application extra. So it's simplified because compared to our first options, we decided to make a first version which is light to start with, because if the service provider are not using that, making the first privacy impact assessment, it will be difficult. So we have reduced a lot what we want to do, to have something very simple to deploy, so to be able to answer to some government requirements right now, and then in the mobile to be able to provide that. We want something very simple because each government have a different view about creating this level of privacy. So in Europe, we have some protocols that are pushed and that are integrated in some standards, such as PACE. But in other countries such as China, they may have different stuff. So we want to have something which is common to all these countries, and all these countries will be able to add the way to measure the privacy level and to set up the privacy level. And what is very important for us is to start to integrate this privacy level to the application. So the application are not anymore providing the same services. They need to say which environment, which level of privacy I'm working. Then based on that, I will provide service A, service B, service C. Is why API inside the secure element are very important. So we integrate to the development of the future application the way to select and to test the privacy level. So assessment of the impact is needed. So it's very important. So we are doing a part of the privacy impact assessment the way that we are creating this new technology. But again, this needs to be done by all the service providers. We need really to continue to separate all these applications, maybe having one unique center inside the secure element about the level of privacy, but each of the applications may have different behavior comparing to the level of privacy. It's very important that the platform provide some basic rules, such as I'm mute until something happens to allow me to say that I'm a good environment and I can open a little and start to discuss. This is very important, so switching a little the way that the current cards are working. They are talking to all the good guys around them, so we need to stop to do that. And it's a big change for the smart card industry. And again, the global platform card framework, I think it's really the good core to allow in different countries to start to implement secure and privacy services, and slowly by slowly to enhance what will be the role of the platform to provide a better privacy and services to the end user. And we hope that this will be used in different areas in which privacy is very important, such as governmental application, EID type of application, certainly driving or whatever documents. In parallel to that, there is big modification in the banking business, because you know that EMVCo is working on a new generation of application based on privacy that will be more privacy, so-called EMV next generation. So in parallel, the banking market will arrive also with some requirements in terms of how to implement privacy on the banking world, because they have some issue regarding contactless. So this is the end of my presentation, to try to share the path of global platform going to privacy. Of course, we have a lot of mobile ID type of use cases in mind. It's part of the DNA of the organization, because most of the smartphones now are embedding a secure element. So what we are doing today on the card will be easily ported to the mobile ID. Adding more complexity, because we expect to have more different markets and different applications on the same secure element in a mobile that currently on a banking card or an ID card. More information, the white paper, all the information are publicly available on the Global Platform website, so I strongly encourage you to go there if you want more detailed information. And thanks for your attention.
Well, this was more very technical view, let me say, and very deep view in the privacy and security domain. Are there any questions or statements? Yes, please.
Joe, which constituency is more receptive to the message or is asking for these features?
Which market or which application?
Is it more consumer, mobile, banking? Who's asking for this most?
So again, back on my first point, everybody is going to privacy, even I would say even Apple. So there is a continuous trend. I think there is some things that are, I would say, forcing the people to move. So for Apple, that is managing, all the biometric stuff, because you have plenty of sensors when you are running. So they know that in US, if you start to publish the blood pressure of the guys, you are dead, right? So as an example, for Apple, it's the healthcare type of information. For the banking industry, contactless, it's the killing use cases. And in contactless, people doesn't want you to read too much stuff when you have your pocket and extra. So I think each market are going not on the same path, but we do not see any market today which is strongly pushing that. So we start in the government task force because we were expecting that the government will put a big pressure on privacy. But look, the data protection, it took so many years to write it. Now all the country will take the data protection to see yes, no, how to implement it. So finally, we start thinking that the government will be the first one to request that. And they take a lot of time because it's complex. So I think all the markets are starting to invest, to think about how we'll go there. And the value of GP is to be able to have the same technology usable by different markets.
Okay, I think we must close because we are a little bit behind.
I can stay here if you want. We can talk about next 2-3 hours about that. No? Okay.
So
Thank you.
Many thanks. I would like To jump on the next speech regarding mobile IDAS services, David Ruana from Spain will give the computers on the ground.
Sorry, I have to use a pen drive.
So we have make a short
I
upload.
have some demonstration at the end of the presentation, so
Yeah.
I have some videos.
So what my feeling from the last question is there are, let me say, different stakeholder in the game, and one of the key stakeholder in the internet games are so-called companies who are looking for profiling, means data capturing, sometimes talking on big data. That means they are big internet provider who needs as much as possible person-related data profiles. And I think this is one of the key topic which we must talk in the future regarding privacy footprint in the internet and how we can solve this this problem. Yeah, but now we go to next speech.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is David Ruana. I'm the product manager IDAS at SafeLayer. I'm going to talk about IDAS today and how we implemented a real case, mobile IDAS services. I will start with a very quickly introduction of SafeLayer. After that, we'll dip into IDAS and how an organization can implement it. Then I will explain a real use case, the one of Izempe. And finally, I will show you a demonstration. SafeLayer has been providing EID technologies for 15 years. Technologies for multi-factor authentication, also adaptive authentication, technologies for PKI systems, especially, or also mobile PKI, and technologies for digital signature as qualified signatures and long-term custody. So I will talk about IDAS. Probably there have been in this Congress at least 4 or 5 presentations about IDAS, so probably it's becoming a popular term for some of you. IDAS is a new European regulation. It has been endorsed by the Council of the European Union on the 23rd of July, so it's just 2 months ago. It's intended to be a major step forward for several reasons. One reason is that the member states of the European Union will have to recognize the EIDs which have been issued by the other member states. That will have a huge impact on the legal validation of transactions, national transactions and cross-border transactions. And IDAS will also regulate the activities of trust service providers. So that's what IDAS stands for. It's electronic identification, authentication, and signature. Therefore, it's defining a full portfolio of trust services. This is the roadmap of IDAS. So next year, 2015, we have the voluntary recognition of EIDs, which means that some member states can start to recognize the EIDs which has been issued by other member countries. So that will become mandatory by 2018. And in 2016, we have here the trust service providers will have to comply with this regulation. So it's a challenging calendar, isn't it? I wanted to show you this slide It's from Mr. Andrea Servida. It's from April this year. And I like this slide because it's highlighting two words, trust and convenience. I thought that it would be a good idea to articulate the following slides of my presentation based on these two words. So, convenience. What can we do to help on convenience? We consider three key factors which are driving the economy nowadays. So on one hand, we have the social networks. They have been issuing millions of EIDs. People like to use those EIDs. So is it convenient? Yes, it seems like it is. On the other hand, we have mobile devices. People enjoy using their mobile devices. They're there all the time in their pocket. So it's a good place to keep EIDs. So is it convenient? Yes, it seems like it is. And what about cloud service providers? They have been doing the hard work to integrate thousands of applications with single sign-on. So it's convenient, indeed, yes. So IDaaS has to fit in this picture. But of course, IDaaS is high level of security, strong authentication mechanisms. What can we do to help on convenience? So we propose to, we developed, in fact, an app, an SDK, and install it into the user's smartphone. So that app will help on convenience for the user. That's why I named this presentation Mobile IDaaS Services. I will explain more about the features of this app in the smartphone later and why it's so important. So what about trust? That's the other ambition of IDaaS. I think that elevating trust will reduce convenience. I'm sure about that. But what can we do to mitigate it? So IDaaS proposes to create different groups, a classification of the EIDs based on the assurance level. So for example, we have here in this picture 4 groups. And for example, the EIDs which are issued by the social networks are in group 1. That means a trust level very low. But whenever it is necessary, we can go through a step-up process, and the user can elevate trust using a stronger authentication mechanism. And that step-up process can be repeated as many times as necessary. So having at the end the stronger authentication mechanisms, like it could be digital certificates in a mobile phone or digital certificates in a smart card. And what about trust of the user against the service providers? The user is consuming some services, and those services need to consume some personal attributes from the user. So we need that the user keeps control at any time of which attribute is he allowing to which applications to consume. For example, his age, contact details, his location, all these attributes need the consent of the user in order to be consumed by applications. And we have a number of user-centric technologies which allow for that, which, for example, we have OAuth 2 or we have OpenID Connect. I'm going to explain now a real use case, the one of Izenpe. Izenpe is a major trust service provider in Spain, And they are promoting secure electronic transactions for public and private entities. So those were some of the objectives in this project. They wanted to issue EIDs, specially verified EIDs. They also wanted to recognize European EIDs as they pretend to be compliant with the eIDAS regulation, of course. And they wanted to implement digital signature in mobile devices and also in the cloud. And using standards as much as possible. So that was our implementation. We implemented an identification service. We implemented also a signature service. And so now ISEMPE can recognize EIDs from the social networks and EIDs from governments. And ISEMPE can also issue their own EIDs. So I will go now into more detail with this app which we are installing in the user's device. So the first time that the user opens this app, the cryptographic keys are generated inside the device, and the PKI certificates are issued by ISEMPE in this case. So the certificates get installed into the device, into the smartphone. So that application will open every time that the user is browsing. Maybe he's browsing from the smartphone. Maybe he's browsing from any other devices like a PC, a laptop, a tablet. And in those cases, when the user is using a different device, he will receive an instant notification through maybe the Google or the Apple network, and the app will open in the smartphone. So the user can complete the authentication operation or a digital signature operation. So in this picture, you can see that we branded the application for the ISEMPE in this case. Here I'm summarizing some of the benefits that a project such as that will get. We have the API economy, which means that on top of this framework, lots of applications can be built and will make use of these services underneath, especially if the service provider provides open APIs so that third parties can implement applications as well. So we have made digital signature simple. We have facilitated cross-border transactions in line with eIDAS, democratization of digital services, hopefully new businesses for European trust service providers. And I leave here an open question. Do you think that it's applicable for the Internet of Things? So finally, I will show you a couple of videos as a demonstration. And I will also invite you to try by yourself. This is a demonstration which is open on the internet. We have implemented several websites. I will be using the banking website in this case. So here the user chooses Mobile ID app to log into the portal. He provides his username in order the system to know who he is, and then an instant notification is sent to the smartphone. The app automatically starts, and the user provides a short PIN for protection, for local protection of the keys. So once the authentication is finished in the smartphone, the web page gets refreshed. And for example, now the user starts transferring money, 200 euros. The second time that the application opens, here he's receiving the instant notification. And the second time is a digital signature operation of this receipt that we can see on the screen. It's providing again the short pin for the local protection of the keys. And once the digital operation finishes, again the web page, maybe in a PC or in a laptop, refreshes and says the outcome of the operation. So in my second example, the user is starting a session, is logging in Facebook. Once the session is open, the user will keep it open and will go again to the banking website. So in this case, we'll choose to log in using Facebook. And now it's logged in, but with a very low level. So when she tries to perform any privilege operation, he needs to step up, to go through a step-up process. Now he's elevating the trust using, again, the same mobile ID app, like in the previous example. But in this case, you will notice a difference. Once the trust has been elevated, he's been offered the option to register his device. So it's now his device is being tracked by our system. And you will see that if the user logs out and logs in again using Facebook, this second time the device is recognized, and so it has a higher level of trust. That's why the user is allowed to perform the regular operation in the banking site. I invite you to watch these videos also on our website. And that's all. That's it. Thank you very much for your attention.
So that means you have a service system created with a specific app which must be downloaded for Android smartphones, for example. Yeah. I have one particular question. We have talked in Germany with federal government about the situation. For example, a German person moves to Spain, young person buy an app in a shop in Spain, goes back to Germany and look for some services in Germany, and some fraud is coming down. So the question is, from the legal point of view, who is now responsible? Is this the reseller shop in Spain? Is this the MNO in Germany? And at the end, at this moment, nobody knows this because the legal community is at this moment very critical on this topic, and they say if the first disaster comes down the street, we must start from the legal point of view from zero, because we have no references, we don't know how we can handle such kind of European market in the App Store domain regarding some frauds. Yeah. Did you have some kind of experience on this in Spain?
I think that's, of course, that doesn't seem a technical question. It seems more like the legal matters of that. But I think that that's the kind of things that that member states are now studying of this regulation. I think that once the technical implementation is ready, like it is, now it's open for the member states, maybe a discussion of those things.
Yes, it's not really the case. The IDAS regulation addressed identities in the public domain. Apps you can buy in the private domain. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yes, there must be a link between identities, of course. We have the option of federating identities. You can create the necessary ecosystem, so only the identities that you want to federate will be recognized in your system. And so there is also a need to link the identities from the social networks with the stronger EIDs, which are verified EIDs. And in a platform like that, which is intended to be user-centric, there's much of the configuration can be done by the end users. especially linking the social identities with the verified identities. And so it does not need a very hard administration on the back end. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, any other statement, questions? Yeah, please.
I have a comment on your question, actually.
Can you speak louder?
Sure, sorry. Is
Yeah.
this better?
Yep.
I have a comment on your question. I'm a lawyer, not from the European Union. I'm a lawyer from Australia. But in Australia, a similar thing has happened with people purchasing apps from the Google Play site and the iTunes site. And what has happened in Australia is that we have what's called the Australian Consumer Law. And under that law, you may have an equivalent one under the European Union or member state laws. There's a requirement that Apple or Google needs to make good for each of the consumers. So I think if you look at the terms and conditions of the Google Play site or the Apple iTunes site, that would give you recourse to the consumer so that the consumer would be able to.
Yeah, this is. I see your point. This is from the top point of view, right? But in Europe, there's a discussion. If you go to an app store, did the reseller have checked if this app is an original app or it's a fake app? The answer is not. He cannot. Yeah, and this comes back to the principles. You can buy apps every day, every time in Europe in different shops, and nobody can guarantee that's an original app, that's the original software, it's not a multiplayer. So the app store have problems, the user have problems. The government now say, oh, then we have also some problems, because from the legal point of view, there are more questions at this time than answers. Yeah? And young people buy every week new apps. It's very frequently, and who can control quality, the original part, and so on. This was behind this question. Yeah. But okay, I will stop because we move a little bit out of the time. We go to the next speaker, I think, because we are a little bit behind. We must also download, or upload this one. Yes, please. We have time. As you can change. Yeah, yeah, please. Yeah, we have a microphone here. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Just to show about if the applet is genuine or not, but in the case of Citizen, how you store the certificate, which certificate to authenticate?
Yes. You mean the security of the keys inside the smartphone? There, of course, we are expecting how standards will evolve in this sense, especially the one related to secure elements. It's a reality nowadays that the commercial smartphones that you can find in the market don't have secure elements capabilities, but it's evolving fast, and you can expect some improvements probably in the next month. And in the meantime, it's still a good balance between security and convenience, which is the thing that we have been proposing here. You have still a very strong authentication mechanism, much more stronger than the credentials that most of the people is using now. So you can start with that now. And then you can expect some improvements in the short term so that the digital certificates inside the mobile will have exactly the same security than a smart card. But it's still, we need to wait a little more for that.
I agree with you absolutely, but meanwhile, is it possible to link, to bound the mobile with the smart card? Because I know that some company has done this.
Yes, and I think that the way is that, okay, smart cards will still be in use for certain scenarios. They are the strongest authentication mechanism. No one can discuss that. But for a regular citizen, it's better to move the certificate from the smart cards to the mobile. That's what we think. So it's better. There can be a mechanism so that the user authenticates with the smart card, and a very easy process to transfer the certificates. But in this case, there will be new certificates issued that will be installed in the smartphone. So it's only a process to be created to move the certificates from one to the other media, I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then we move to the next speech, please.
Okay, thank you for being here. So I am now head of representative office France for FEITIAN. So there was an update since last month on the paper you have. So FEITIAN, in few figures, so we are 700 employees. We are headquartered in Beijing. Our turnover is around $200 million for 2013, and we provide hardware solutions for like OTPs, mobile smart card readers, Rockies, and also different software solution in order to enable and facilitate the integration of our readers with the service providers and integrators. So I'm going to talk about the mobile market a bit with some figures that I guess everybody knows. And I'm going to talk about what we're doing right now so far in Belgium, Israel, and Morocco, to be concrete, to be more in details. So I'm going to focus today on the interaction between the smart card, physical contact mainly, even if, of course, the contactless market is moving forward very strongly, as you saw in the conference these days. So mainly on the smartphones and iPads and tablets, on the iOS, Android, and Windows Phone platforms. So the figures, concerning the Gartner report in December 2013, of course, the PCs are decreasing. It's gonna continue like this, and the tablets and mobile phones are still increasing. The countries issuing national IDs, so you can see the share of traditional IDs, just like the French ID card, which is not yet a smart card, so we hope very soon it will be. The EID growing from 2014 till 2018 on this report from Planet Biometrics. So it's going to increase still. So other charts from Gartner still. So you can see the global revenue until 2018. The global market will reach $40 billion. So here is the mobile environment. I try to be clear. So this is all the interactions there is with the mobile network operator, with the phone, after you download the apps, depending on the platform, and after you have you use the CA with the TSM, like Gemalto, for example, and after you have to store it on the secure element or microSD or with NFC derivation system that GND introduced this morning, or your card, physical card, with storing the private key and the certificates to enable the encryption and the exchange with the institution that can be the government or the banks or financials. And the mobile EID environment that we are focusing on in FEITIAN is based on the application. We provide the middleware with a private driver and API in order to interact with our solutions that are iPad casing smart card readers dedicated on the iOS. And also we try to be more ubiquitous with dedicated PKI audio jack, NFC too, NFC and swipe. And also on the Bluetooth interface, which is more ubiquitous to reach all the Android phones. And the common threats but on the mobile devices, first, many people think that it's untrustworthy interface. So on a market basis, even if there is secure elements in the phone, which are very encouraging for the market that is going to grow in that direction in the future, now there is still some I would say, market drivers that want to interact externally with the phone. So this is why the physical reader interacting with the mobile phone can be an answer for those people, those clients. And of course, the theft or loss. And concerning the cards, it's much more difficult, of course, so physical attacks, sidechain attacks, man-in-the-middle attacks, and cryptanalytic attacks. So here is, it's still here, but it starts to belong to the past right now, but we're still providing those readers because the market is still here for this. And now we're moving mobile, and we're already investing on the NFC solutions, contactless. So now what we're doing, we provide a secure browser with our readers. So we provide this kind of architecture. So the mobile device with our product, that can be any kind of readers that we are proposing. So the application logic is, of course, download the secure browser app, PKCS 11. Smart card driver, PCSC, resource manager, smart card reader driver, smart card reader, smart card arrow logic. Okay, all in HTTPS, of course. So like this, you can reach access control, VPN, secure mail, e-government, HR system, whatsoever. So the features of it is, it's a two-factor authentication, it's multi-readers, authenticators, multi-cards, Athena, etc., Gemalto, iOS, Android, app integration, and it's seamless with PKCS 11, and the secure Outlook web app access. So we partner with Belgium, with Zites, that provide the cards, the ID cards. So we propose them our R301, which is the dedicated iOS reader. And we integrated with them a secure browser that enables the end users and citizens to safely authenticate themselves with their mobile. So we made it as an OEM, and of course it's integrated in the app. So here is, of course, the card issuance system in Belgium. So if you want to follow the numbers, you will see. In the end, the citizen, when he receives this card, has the possibility now with his phone or tablet to buy a reader in the supermarket and can authenticate himself with his mobile phone. So with the secure browser integrated in the application, it adds, of course, a secure layer. So in Israel, we are now working with Agat Solution, which is very close to the government, and dedicated to the software solution, secure solution on the mobile platform. They decided to integrate a secure browser, and we are helping them to integrate it, and they have different requirements. They want to strengthen the two-factor authentication on it. They want to also integrate Android and iOS, and we're working on it right now, and the proof of concept is almost ready to be presented to the government and to be validated and to be compliant with the EID card in Israel. So with Athena card and others. And I read that about Al-Monitor on the website. Apparently in Israel, the biometrics are pretty criticized and are not very well adopted. And in this article that I just put the reference here, they say that they want more clever certificates, less than unjustified huge biometric databases. In Morocco, for financial institutions, we are integrating our iSecmo, our secure browser, with this infrastructure, which is pretty different. So with a Java server page, starting right in the browser, you can see the scheme here. You can sign PDFs only with a browser with an activist call with GSP. So far, that's what we're doing. So we're trying to provide the best support and API adaptation to what the end user wants. So in Feitian, we are ubiquitous. We can work with all the developers and solution providers, and we are eager to learn from them and also to develop the capacities of the solutions and the application of mobile, and also to strengthen privacy, as here, And what I saw in the conference is there are two point of views about privacy. There is one motto that says every gate should be open in order to enable the citizens to be better identified, which is very against privacy. And there is another topic that is defended by Apple and, of course, a global platform in order to control the privacy. So if the end user decides to unlock some features on his GPS location or whatsoever, we are more at Phaetian on the privacy control. So I thank you for this. It's been quick, so if you have any questions, I would be glad to answer you.
First of all, many thanks. Yeah, are there questions, remarks, statements? So I think it's very interesting to see the very different architectures and also the different references which we have in the place. Okay, then many thanks for the speech. Then we move to the next one because we are a little bit behind our schedule. We go to Craig Whitney. Yeah. Secure is stopping new users from registration. How Security Group can help drive conversions. So the floor is here.
Good afternoon. Oh, and yes, I am standing, so apologies if you can't see me over the lectern here. I have an agreement with my friend here, Marta, that we're going to try and speed things up so that we can get you to lunch as close to on time as possible. So what I would like to do today is take you through what Francis referred to in his presentation as the long tail. So far today, we've heard quite a bit about the use cases in banking and government. And what I'm going to share with you is a lot of the work that Telesign is doing as far as the major online or internet properties are concerned. So these would be your typical social networks and email companies and online auction sites and the like. So with that said, I thought it would be very useful if you had a little bit of an understanding about Telesign as a company. I'm pretty sure that 90 or 99% of you have never heard of Telesign, so I'll give you a very brief advert. So we are a mobile identity company, and we do two very basic things. We help our very large internet property customers detect and prevent fraud by leveraging mobile identity services, and we'll go into a little bit of detail about what that means. The other thing that we do is we work with our mobile network operator partners around the world to help them monetize their subscriber data for purposes of security and fraud. And that's the area of the business that I look after, as well as my colleague at the rear of the room, Andy Tobin, and we're available at lunch and afterwards if you'd like to ask us any questions. So currently today we are serving 19 out of the top 25 largest web properties around the world today. And that goes across all the major continents and representing a large number of vertical markets. So anywhere that you would see a username and a password being used as the primary credential, there's a very high likelihood that Telesign is actually assisting that particular customer in one aspect of their customer experience or another. We're considered I guess a late stage startup company. We're about 9 years old. However, I think it's very fair to say that most of our growth has really occurred in the last three and a half years. I started with the company in March of 2011, and I was employee number 18, and we've now had about, I think we just hired our 225th employee, which is a very exciting development. So I think it's pretty important to, first of all, highlight our definition of mobile identity. I've heard a vast number of definitions in the room today, and tying back again to Francis's opening remarks about mobile identity, we subscribe to the thesis that the mobile identity number, the mobile number is one of the most unique and readily available identifiers that any one of us have. If you think about it, and if you're like me, your mobile phone is never more than a meter from your person, day or night, which makes it a wonderful token to leverage for lots of different things. And when you consider the fact that it adds layers of flexibility, and it's fairly ubiquitous around the world, and again, the customers that we serve have to serve a very wide variety of users, those with very sophisticated phones and those with a brick as a phone that can make calls and things like that. So we use that as the starting point. And then when you layer on top of that device information, you can create a very interesting trust bond between that mobile phone number as well as the device. So if you think about it, by combining data that we would hold about the device and data that we know about that phone number, that creates quite an interesting starting point for creating a mobile identity. Then you can layer on top of that, and again, because of the very large amount of internet traffic that we have traversing the Telesign network, we can spot some very interesting behaviors about phones. And in fact, there's many occasions when our knowledge engineering team will be able to spot a gateway style attack. In other words, using one web property as a launching point for other malicious use in other web properties. So by identifying that pattern of behavior, we can get to the point where we can establish a real reputation for just about any phone number in the world today. And this is an idea that we've been promoting for a number of years now, and thankfully, we've seen a large number of our customers starting to adopt this style of mobile identity as a very good starting point. Because there's nothing to install on the phone, we're leveraging information that we can get from the network layer, from our mobile network partners, as well as our customers. So what I'd like to do now is just take you through a typical use case for Telesign mobile identity. And it all begins really with the online account registration process. And I'm sure you'll be aware from your own experiences that sometimes it can be a very tedious endeavor. More times than not, it leverages email as part of the registration process. And we all know some of the flaws that are involved with email registration. Your email answer back could be trapped by your spam filters, and you never get it, so you're never able to actually activate that online account. Or there's been further attempts to streamline it and to prove that either you're a human being and you're not an automated script trying to register lots and lots of accounts on a particular web property. So they will put things in the way like CAPTCHA. Have you ever seen those little squiggly lines and letters that you're presented with that you're supposed to decipher as a human being and put them back in the box in the right order? It's a terrible user experience, and quite frankly, the fraudster technology has now caught up with that particular one and has compromised it so that the bulk registrations still come fast and furious, even though things like CAPTCHA has been put in the way. So the thesis that we've been working on for quite some time is that you should use the mobile phone number as the primary way to register new users in the online environment. It's much, much more simple, and the user experience is pretty slick nowadays. I think if anybody is familiar with how to receive a text and how to read a text, that's a really good starting point. So basically, as far as the process is concerned, it's very important that you highlight the reason why you're asking for the phone number. the phone number will become the trust bond that the user will have with the service that they want to sign up for. Our customers will make every assurance to that consumer that they're not going to use their phone number for any other marketing purposes or any other spamming purposes. It's purely for the security of their account. Now, once that once that phone number is captured, again, in partnership with our mobile network operator partners, we're able to analyze that phone number based upon a core set of attributes that will give us a depiction of that phone number and a reputation of that phone number. So we will be able to provide feedback, and that feedback is delivered by way of a score. So if there is a score delivered back for that phone number that is, let's say, between 0 and 200, we would say, in our opinion, that's pretty good. You should allow that transaction to happen. But as we start going up in terms of score, our recommendation back to our customer would be increase the amount of friction that you're going to have in that transaction. In other words, make that consumer go through more hoops because we suspect that it may be a little bit tricky, that phone number. So you want higher levels of assurance based upon the reputation that we're delivering back. Another aspect of the phone, or the leveraging the phone as part of the online account registration process, is that we're able to do phone number cleansing so that you always have a clean, internationally dialable phone number that you can always use as an out-of-band communication mechanism with your customer. We find that to be a very important thing. A lot of people will either enter a landline phone number to receive a text, for example, when we know that that will not result in a completion. So we can do a level of cleansing to ensure that it's the right type of phone number being provided, and also that it's the right number of digits. It's compliant with all the global standards as far as that's concerned. We're also able to implement things like rules. So for example, we have certain customers that will provide certain types of products where they will only allow certain types of phone numbers to be registered with their service. So let's say, for example, a customer wants to make sure that there's a valid mobile phone number or there's a valid landline, but if we detect that an anonymous voice over IP phone number is being presented by the consumer, that may bring that transaction into a higher level of risk. So we may want to push back on that particular phone number and ask for one that is more trustworthy, as it were. And so I'm sure you've all experienced in the past in your own personal lives the occasion when you have either been challenged or you've registered a new account and your phone will beep and you get a text with a code, you enter it back into the website. We're able to do this today in over 87 different languages around the world from a text perspective. And also, we also think that it's critically important to offer your consumers a voice option. We have found there are certain demographics around the world that would much prefer to receive their verification codes via voice versus an SMS, and that's something that we can help our customers with as well. And so, again, just getting back to some of the benefits, it's a very quick and low friction way of adding new users and bringing up new accounts on your website. It improves the security drastically, and at that point, you have a verified phone number to go to market with. And once you have that verified phone number, you can use it for many other use cases within the business as well. One of the more popular ones that our customers will deploy is the password reset process. So rather than the traditional click on this email link to reset your password, and again, running the risk of that email getting trapped in a spam folder. The password reset would be performed via code that could be delivered via SMS or voice and done very, very quickly and efficiently. Anytime the user adds a new device, if they add a new tablet or a new PC or a new phone to their account, again, that can be challenged as a high-risk event, and we can answer that as well. Suspicious logins, there's many of our customers who will add a degree of science to the logins, either patterns that can be established for times of day that that user normally logs in, or countries that they usually log in from. Things like that could be treated as suspicious logins and then challenged appropriately. Or, of course, there are occasions when account alerts, we've seen some scenarios around the world where there have been mass compromises of passwords, either through the fault of the user or through the fault of that consumer website. And a very secure, out-of-band way of communicating with those customers could be via this method as well. So what we recommend if consumer-oriented websites are considering this type of service and leveraging mobile identity and putting it into some very important business processes, we highly recommend that you seek out a partner that is going to help you deliver SMS and voice all over the world in a highly resilient way. Also a company that can help you establish the reputation of the phone numbers that are being presented and verified for downstream use. And also backed up by world-class support services around the world. So that's it from me. Hopefully I've gone through that at a fair enough pace. I'd be happy to answer maybe one question before I pass the baton.
I think one question we can take with us. Should be not the case. I think we run a little bit in the lunchtime. That's maybe the reason that we must speed up a little. Many thanks. I would go to the last speech from Marta. Marta is long time, very well known in the GSM domain, and she will brings us the last topic on personal data today, regarding from the GSMA umbrella organization, which I think is a very important stakeholder in this game. So please.
Thanks for the introduction. Sorry to be the last speaker, and thanks for staying with us today. So I don't think at this point in time I need to introduce the GSMA, but just by the numbers, we represent the interests of 800 mobile operators and over 230 associate members, which include increasingly not only internet service provider, manufacturers, SIM and devices manufacturers, but also companies coming from adjacent sector, which are more and more relevant to the ICT environment, including, for example, financial services, healthcare, the provision of media, and social media. Our numbers, mobile network operators' numbers, speak by themselves. We have over 6.6 billion mobile connection and 3.2 billion individual subscribers. Our vision is really to create, through a number of programs and initiatives which we run, one of which is the personal data program, to create an environment to connect, to create really a connection between the physical and the digital world, while enabling secure, smart, and seamless services and creating opportunity and prosperity for all. And I mentioned the program, the personal data program is one of each, and is the key pillar also of the other program, where identity, digital identity, is our key focus in terms of providing a consistent framework with scale to the market, and other programs, including, for example, digital commerce, network 1020, which look after the latter, the quality of services of the network, and connected living, looking at machine to machine, are also instrumental for the delivery of mobile identity. So I don't need to state again what has been told several times today. With the increasing of digital services, there is increasing fear about security breaches, stolen passwords, and consumers are becoming more and more aware of the importance of convenient, security, and trustworthy digital identities. There have been, every day we read on the news about what's happening in terms of accidents, and the mobile operators as well sometimes are responsible as well. For example, a GSMA survey has, as well as other surveys that are available, like, for example, the Mozilla survey, point out that the inability to control who accesses individual personal information is the #1 concern of users or mobile users. So these really create a pressure for mobile operators and as well as other parties within this ecosystem to react to these increasing concerns. So, and that's why that 2 years ago, the GSMA established what it was called at the time the Mobile Identity Program, which is now the Personal Data Program, and is really designed to address this opportunity for the mobile industry in terms of meeting a number of demands from arising in terms of reducing fraud and consumers' demand, and the rising concerns of consumers in terms of privacy and transparency, but also the increasing need of achieving private and public sector efficiency that can be derived by digital identity services. And last but not least, the increasing need to have commercial trusted identity providers. So in 2014, February 2014, at the Mobile World Congress, we launched the Mobile Connect initiatives, which is the key focus of our program, and is designed to provide a convenient and secure authentication for different use cases on your mobile. The vision is really to provide a consistent framework which will enable, service provider to understand better, what are the potential of and the benefits of mobile identity, as well as providing convenient and seamless user experience for the consumers. For doing that, this is the map of the current mobile identity implementations, which are not Mobile Connect identity implementation, but Mobile Connect is a roadmap of opportunities and technologies, as I'll try to explain later. Number of use cases have been mentioned, ranges from e-commerce to government services, online services, and through the provision of attributes for secure login on or age verification. We have a large team embracing different kind of expertise. I come from the regulatory practice, but we have subject matter expertise in technology, business modeling, and user experience, as well as marketing. So we have delivered this video that I was going to show you. Is not a demo, but it's more about what is the story about Mobile Connect. Sorry, just a second. I want to be sure that it works. It was working before. Why is it not working now?
Frustration.
Okay.
We all experience the frustration of having too many
Can you hear?
usernames and passwords to remember. On a daily basis, we use the wrong combinations or have to negotiate the forgotten password process. Add to that the sheer number of password-protected websites we use, and the problem is clear. Different logins and lengthy registration processes demanding more and more personal information are everywhere, making people anxious and frustrated. Sometimes you want to give up and abandon your transaction or the website altogether. Introducing Mobile Connect, powered by a global network of mobile operators, facilitated by the GSMA. Mobile Connect provides customers with secure and convenient authentication, using the inherent security of the device that's always with them, their mobile phone. Whether browsing on a desktop, tablet, or mobile phone, tap the Mobile Connect icon to authenticate. Depending on the website's security needs, customers respond to the Mobile Connect prompt on their mobile, and access is seamlessly granted. Mobile Connect is simple, consistent, and can work on any website. Customer authentication is managed by their existing mobile operator. The website receives confirmation of authentication, and no personal data is shared without the customer's permission. So that's how, with Mobile Connect, we are able to let the customer choose what personal data they share, enable simple and secure access on any device, banish multiple usernames and passwords. Mobile Connect, the convenient and secure universal login solution with privacy protection. Visit gsma.com/personaldata for more information.
Okay, that's good. It worked. So, that's not the last version of the video. We're going to have new releases. I just also that it was interesting to show it really simplified and hopefully makes understanding how simple and convenient Mobile Connect can be. You can see we also developed a logo, and I think we've seen today, and I don't need to go into the detail of what is the technology behind Mobile Connect that can potentially be behind Mobile Connect. In practice, very simple and high-level terms, Mobile Connect use mobile phone and number to authenticate, to provide access to a number of use cases and channels. Mobile Connect, as you say, the consumption of authentication is not necessarily the device, but it can also act on a PC. But the mobile remains the token for authentication and identity. Mobile Connect develops into secure and privacy-enhancing way of sharing attributes, which puts control back in the user, and I'm going to explain a little bit later how we are thinking to do that, leveraging on the key operator assets with a single API for all service providers able to reach the users. At GSMA, we really are the bridge between, what are the opportunities between the operators and the number of technologies that are possible to become available. And it is true that mobile network operators can actually act in a number of roles by being simple authentication provider to authorize transaction for service providers or identity providers per se, while service providers outsource identity management and authentication. But they can also become broker of attributes and provide service personalization of services. I put there the SIEM. The SIEM is not the only authenticator. The SIEM applet is only one of the authenticator that mobile operators can use. and the different level of assurance that can be achieved through Mobile Connect are able to be provided by different authenticators as well as different API. But what is important is that we are, for us, is that we are able to act upon all the levels of assurance, from a seamless authentication and single-factor authentication to legally binding digital transaction, which are at the end stream of security. Those are the assets, and there are several assets that mobile operators, reason why they should be able, we believe they are able to move trust back into digital services. Mobile operators provide robust SIMs security or combination of authentication mechanisms that are able to provide data protection and security, but also embracing the challenging of privacy to reduce consumers' fears and increase the level of trust, while providing ubiquity and interoperability, and the fact that we are locally regulated. So I was mentioning how those are I couldn't put the new privacy guidelines that we are working on. The mobile operators are together with our program are working on specific Mobile Connect privacy guidelines, which leverage upon the principles that have been produced in the past by the mobile privacy principles that have been signed by a number of operators, including Vodafone, DT, Telefonica, Orange, and others, and Telecom Italia. And those are really to embrace what is the concept of privacy by design, and be sure that whatever is the mechanism for delivery of mobile identity, privacy is considered in the first place. One, in terms of security, a key aspect that we think is relevant is really to be able to provide a pseudonymous customer reference, which should help the operators to reduce the trackability across service providers. The principles behind the guidelines will be that they will be not only binding from the operators, but they will also need to be binding with the service providers and third parties. In terms of those are what are the drivers? These are a concluding slide. What are the drivers and enabling factors? So Mobile Connect is based on the premises of mobile identity, but there are a number of variety of approaches. What I try to summarize in these slides is really what are the key business drivers, as well as cultural and geopolitical enabling factors somehow that could help the mobile operators to deploy mobile identity based on Mobile Connect services. So it's based on the facilitation of access to services. So, for example, there is a need, of course, as in advanced countries like we have seen in Estonia, to create really a diverse portal and uniquely addressed to the needs of consumers, which create demand and foster the opportunity for Mobile Connect. At the same time, there is a need to create what are the physical access points by, for example, like it's the case of Turkey, providing, for example, established partnership with the banks whereby mobile operators, mobile phones are actually able to withdraw money from ATM machines. And thirdly, which is the perhaps the most important issue, is really to be able to provide this, an ecosystem of interoperable mobile network operators which are working together to drive the opportunities for the market from the service provider. And in terms of the collaboration with the ecosystem, we all understand the importance of partnership with banks, but also with governments to create public-private partnership, for example, around national strategies to digital identity management. And the importance also to provide a flexible and technology-neutral framework for authentication, which is focused on enabling convenience, choice, and efficiencies to citizens, consumers, and public administrations. Last but not least, we mentioned convenience several times. This must be not only a product solution, but it must be a principal level embrace from the ecosystem in terms of governments as well. So that should enable the registration process and from the private sector. And also providing attractive business opportunities in terms of cost sharing opportunities that could be provided again from the government. And last but not least is about user empowerment, how to raise awareness and encourage understanding of electronic identity, signature services, authentication, and all different technologies, and how to really put the users in control of their data. And that's my contact name. I hope that was clear. I don't know if you have any questions.